Okay, well, I was first exposed to STEM robot resources as a graduate student. I mean, they were used as resources in a course I was doing, and that was interesting. I thought that was an interesting experience, and we were all master's students at the time when we used them. My next exposure was as a teaching assistant. My graduate supervisor had a class that I was a TA on. It was actually an HND class, and we were using the same kinds of resources I had used as a master's graduate student with these HND students, and they were really excited and involved. My graduate supervisor has gone on to lead teams to international robot competitions, and I did go back and learn how the team operated, and I thought it was fascinating how students at different levels of program, whether that was graduate, undergraduate, or HND, could all be involved in a team effort to get the robot to work. I thought that was really impressive, and I thought that this was something that we could do here. When I came here and tried to implement similar programs, I ran into a lot of hurdles. But the primary hurdle has to do with the cost of the kits. Yeah, they are relatively expensive, and they're not very robust. We're talking a lot of experimental work. Subsequent to that, there have been a lot of STEM initiatives locally and in the region involving kits, and I've been hearing the same kinds of queries, that the kits are relatively expensive. They're not the kinds of things that a parent would want to invest in for one child. They're very useful. The kids are really engaged. The parents see the benefits, but where does it go? Does this lead to a job? What happens when the kit breaks? These are questions that arise all the time. But I think that we need to really think about how we can best deploy them in our environment.
Sure.
Well, we want to excite kids about science. We want them to stop thinking that science is something that is hard and is outside the realm of their understanding. The second thing I would say is, even though a lot of parents and teachers, and I myself, have observed the benefit to individual students of using these kits, I don't know that anybody has any information about what the impact of these kits is. And I mean, at this point in time, we could probably start to come up with information to answer that question. So I think in terms of not only using the resources, but tracking the impact of using the resources, I think that's important. If you want to do like a cost comparison, when we're trying to do a justification for the costs of these things, I mean, why should we use robot kits and not some other STEM kits? My personal belief is that it's all about engagement of the students. Different students will be engaged in different things. And so if you have a child who is not engaged in science in any other way, I think robotics is a good way to engage them, because it moves, you program it, it interacts with you. But that doesn't mean it's the only way that you can engage students in science. I think the focus needs to be on engaging the students. And the last thing I would say, the important point about these resources in general, is that because a lot of these resources use underlying technology that maybe we are educating students about, it's important to show children how these resources can be constructed. I think we want to encourage children to become creators of technology, not just users of technology. So anything that is built on technology that they already know about is a good idea. Well, I'm looking for an empowered generation of students. I want to be able to say 10 years from now that we have, a 20% increase in the number of competent adults using science in their daily lives. That's pretty much what it is. I want a new generation who do not think that science is hard. They think that science is different but not hard, and who can see the relevance of science to what they do every day. The next thing I want to see is, I want to see us looking at how the knowledge we found out about what works in the Caribbean can be used elsewhere, because we're not the only community facing these issues in terms of resources and STEM interests. This is a global problem. So if we manage to come up with some findings that work for us, maybe we could apply those elsewhere.